And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive, Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. I am Josh Engleman. That is Chris Spags. Got a 5-game slate on DraftKings and on FanDuel for today. Both sites smart enough to drop the 11 o'clock start, thank God. So we could at least talk about apples to apples, so to speak, across both of these slates. We got some injury news that we're still waiting on, some injury news that we've already gotten, and quite a bit of ownership going to the top end of the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll get into all of it over the course of the next hour before we send it over to the NBA Live Before Lock crew. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter. What's going on, man? How you feeling today?
Glad to be back here with you. We get the back-to-back days with the NFL ramping down, so that's nice. I got to pick Josh's brain about my struggles getting Claude to work correctly before the show, which is really the big reason I show up here. Is I get to ask Josh a few AI questions before we actually do the content. But I feel like the slate, not my favorite slate in the world, and I'm usually not, Mr. Slate Debbie Downer. Like, there's a few fun things. I do like, the Cleveland value. I feel like there's, a couple players you could plunk in right away from that. But it just feels like there's 3-4 teams on the slate, maybe more than that I just don't want to touch. And that might be tough for this particular show because there's only so many games to go around, but boy, it's like an ugly price slate.
It is. There's a lot to talk about because paying up for someone like Luka has some very interesting consequences today, given the lack of pay down options that you end up having to get right. I'm really curious to break all this one down because it feels much more balanced than it typically would be, especially because of the price tags on these two Cleveland guys. Do we want to just dive right into game number one, considering Cleveland and Indy is my first game on the list?
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one, I think, relatively, at least for, one of the teams.
Yeah. So for Cleveland, Dean Wade, probable. Jared Allen, probable. Jalen Tyson, questionable. This has been moving all around so far today. Wade and Allen were both questionable to start the day. The big piece of information here, though, Donovan Mitchell just already out for rest. He's not going to be letting us know today. He's just out. Speaking of people that are out, Benedict Mathurin is also out for the Pacers and will be for at least a little bit. This is creating quite a bit of ownership in this game. On the Cavs side, the two most owned guys make a ton of sense and aren't all that difficult to explain. Darius Garland, 7,200. Evan Mobley, 7,600. They are both around 40 to 45% owned. After that, we get this giant pack of Pacers dudes, and then we get into more Cavs. Let's start at the top quickly. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, two of the most owned guys on today's slate. I have no disagreements whatsoever. I am over the field on both guys. I don't think the Pacers are very good. These guys get big jumps because Donovan Mitchell's not around. Just sign me up for Garland and Mobley. No notes on this one.
Yeah, I mean, just missing a guy like Mitchell means so much. And I think it's one of the things that sometimes people take a little bit longer to get there with DFS. I know from, seeing enough people talking online about it, where it's like, if you're missing a guy with usage, you don't think about, oh, how do I fade this spot? Donovan Mitchell gets up so many shots, gets so many assists as well. Just takes so many possessions away that him being off the team for today means that Mobley, Garland, Jared Allen to a lesser extent, but still pretty noteworthy extent, all going to gain a lot of opportunity with what they're doing. And for Mobley, that means that, so far this year, about 500 possessions. He's put up 1.4 fantasy points a minute without Mitchell this year. Not quite as big of a jump up for Garland, but, for today's slate, certainly expect them to be very similar plays. I am higher on Mobley than Garland right now. I don't think it's going to hold when I kind of adjust stuff manually a little bit more, but I got 35% Garland compared to 90% of Mobley. I think I would get ideally close to 50% of both, if not, higher for the Mobley side of that. But I think Mobley more speaks to how bad power forward is in the slate. Center also not particularly great either. So point guard, I think you can pivot off of Garland, maybe cut your ownership product a little bit, but not as much as I'm getting it right now. So I'm definitely going to try to fix that. Jared Allen, kind of a forgotten man relative to those two, but I'm still above the field on him, getting him at 27%. The field's at 15. And Craig Porter Jr. coming up a little bit as a value. Feels like his data's moved around the most today, where he looked good in the first run from Stochastic. Then there's one in the afternoon where he came down a lot, looked like a total non-play. Now it looks like he's getting about 22 minutes. If he gets 22 minutes, I think he's probably your best value play in the slate, or at least, among them. But frankly, Mobley and Garland might be your best value plays in the slate with how they're priced.
I am also getting to more Mobley than Darius Garland. I've got 8 on this first run for myself. 86% of Evan Mobley, 64 of Darius Garland. So I'm still getting north of the field for both of these guys. I'm also pretty well over the field on Jared Allen. I'm also over the field on Craig Porter Jr. So the 4 dudes you mentioned, I'm over the field on all 4 of them. I like where we're going with this one right now. And the Craig Porter Jr. one is basically just there's not that many dudes sub 4K that are all that involved today. And he appears to be one of them. So far we're on the same page. I've got, a couple random shares of Dean Wade right now. I think that's just kind of one of those things for the day where he's cheap. He's clearly not a great per minute dude, but on what this slate is, has the opportunity to get to like 26, 27 minutes, depending on how it goes. If Jalen Tyson ends up out, that starts to move this stuff around a little bit more. But when it comes to the 4 most owned Cavs, I am in full lockstep with every single one of them. I think they all look really good.
Yeah,
Indiana
it's just hard to
stinks.
argue when you're missing a guy like Mitchell. And too, like I think you mentioned, Dean Wade, he does seem like a guy to sprinkle in. I didn't get Hunter and Tyson, though. I feel like Hunter, I'm kind of baffled what happened with Hunter because he was coming up so much for me at the beginning of the year. And granted, his use just like trickled down, trickled down, trickled down. His minutes also got jerked around, but he's just like not coming up for me at all. And the field's there at 10%. But feels like if Tyson or Hunter were to hit meaningfully, assuming Tyson plays, those guys are like the only parts that are actually in the rotation that are, entirely uncovered.
It's not just the Cavs side of this one, though, and that's where it starts to get crazy. $5,300 Aaron Nesmith is 35% owned. $8,100 Pascal Siakam is about 35% owned. $4,400 TJ McConnell is 30% owned. Nemhard's 20. Micah Potter is just north of 10. We even still have a little bit coming in on Jay Huff, Jarris Walker. How do you want to hash these guys out? Because I'm thinking we have more opinions for the Indiana side than we did for the Cleveland side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really getting big stands on a lot of these guys. Like Siakam, I'm with the field on getting 31%. Fields at 34. Do you think the rates seem to be the most beneficial for him with Mathurin off the court? Aaron Nesmith, it's always tough to trust him because so much of his, fantasy opportunity really is dependent on his shot falling. And he has been so cold this year. I remember last year he had like 65, 66% true shooting. This year he's at 55. That's rounding up. Like Nesmith's been awful this year, but in this kind of spot with Mathurin's usage off the table, feels like he'll have his best shot to get there. So I'm getting there too, getting him at 38%, Fields at about 35. TJ McConnell's rates per minute seem to be the biggest uptick potentially with Mathurin off. He's put up about 1.3 fantasy points per minute without Mathurin, but the minutes aren't as big for him, so it's a little bit tougher to get there. That said, as a value, you think he's coming up okay at about 30%. And then Jay Huff didn't really get there because of Micah Potter starting, like you mentioned. He's overproducing right now at 71% true shooting on the year. It hasn't missed a free throw, stuff like that. He's also just not as good of a producer as he has been so far this year. But I do think that he's the kind of guy that, on this slate without real value, 4,100 for him doesn't look that bad. The one I'm not getting is Nemhard, and I'm surprised by that because I feel like he's a guy I always get to when we're missing a pacer, but not coming up for me here. He's produced 1 fantasy point per minute with Mathurin off the court. I would think he's a pretty big winner from getting Mathurin out with that usage that he takes up. He can create more. He can get his own shot more. And that kind of scares me because I think Nemhard is as good of a play as these guys, but they're all kind of good plays. I just am naturally getting a pretty big fade on Nemhard.
So I'm right around the field with Nesmith right now. The minutes are just there. He's 5,300 at a small forward position. I think he looks like the easiest dude to get to from Indy, just from that setup. I have 26% of Nemhard, so I am getting to that point. 6,800's just a little healthy, but I do like the spot for him to a degree, especially with Mathurin gone. Little bit under on Siakam, but still north of 20%. We have him with a little bit of negative leverage, so not surprised to see it happen like that, but tough to get away from with no Mathurin around. There's more touches for him. I have 22% of TJ McConnell. I would like to have less. I don't have a great feeling for this, but of all the guys getting ownership, he's the one I like the least. He doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to suddenly play 25 minutes today. They don't seem to do that with him ever. And if he's just going to be you really need him to play 21 minutes today and for it to go good. I think there's enough other unowned 4K, mid 4K dudes that I'm willing to just take a shot on. So I have some, but I don't have a ton. I am over the field on Micah Potter, which feels weird because he's not good, but 4,100 power forward center eligibility, I guess. Do you like, assuming he continues to start, it's not the worst value, is it? Or is it? It kind of is.
He's rebounding. Like he's the best rebounder on the team right now. Technically, with Jackson out, he's getting 10.4 rebounds per 100. So at least that's something. And he does shoot some threes. Yeah, I mean, he's frankly shooting a little too hot on threes, but putting up 3 a game at 39%. It looks like. So like, yeah, he's I don't know. He's doing stuff out there. I just think he's running hot on the shooting and probably the rebounding too. Also, John Harbaugh got fired. That's crazy.
Which one's that?
The Ravens one.
Okay. Where's the other one?
Chargers. So they're in the playoffs, so he's not getting fired.
I would have guessed college, so I had no idea.
It's a big deal because Harbaugh's been there. I mean, the AFC North has like a few of those guys with Tomlin as well. Like he's been there for what, like 15 years? I mean, more than that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute, right?
Let's see. Ben Ravens. It feels like one of those like institutional things
10.
going away.
At least
2008. So 17 years.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well,
I know you're a big football fan, and I had to give you the breaking news. I had to see your reaction in real time here. I know how much it means to you.
I didn't even know which Harbaugh was which.
I said the wrong name first too. Like, and I pay attention to this stuff, so I get it. But yeah, it is crazy when a guy like anybody who holds a job that long of any kind. I feel like, whoa, because it's just 17 years. These people used to do that, standing on their heads. Not anymore.
Yeah. I assume he'll just join the list of like 8 or 9 coaches that get fired, and then we just continue to do the same thing every year, where a third of the league loses their job.
Oh, he'll get paid 15 mil by somebody now. I think, I would like the Giants. I would assume people in the chat saying that. Raiders, I think, want to go young, but only big names like that'll come up.
Go to college and stop giving a fuck about anything. If you're Harbaugh, like he's got a ring, right? At least,
yeah,
one. Does he have 1 or 2?
Well, at least 1. I'd say maybe 2. I'm bad at stuff like that. I've seen all the things and I cannot remember off the top of my head how much people have won things. But two sounds right.
Go to college. It's way more fun. Just take stupid money and relax. Why not?
And
then like go back to the NFL and take like a $40 million buyout or something. It's all crooked. Take the cash.
I don't know. I think a lot of the guys like this get exposed when they go to college. Like I think Brian Flores would do a good job. He's getting some rumors for defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, but also might get a head coaching job. I know this is an NBA show, guys. Sorry, but like it's hard because like Bill Belichick has gotten so exposed, and I feel like this has to hurt his legacy a little bit, even though it won't practically.
Yeah. Well, that one's slightly different. I don't think Harbaugh's going to take on a 22-year-old co-ed to run his life while he does it. Like. I think there's a better way to do it than the way Bill did it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Bill's doing it right, but maybe not for football. Life, sure. I don't know. Anyway. What are they doing with Johnny Furphy, by the way? I didn't expect him to just be like a plays 12 minutes and starts dude. I can't wrap my head around that one, but I don't know. Any Johnny Furphy love? It is a 5-gamer, after all.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting much Johnny Furphy. I've got a 0. The field's at 0.3, so unfortunately not going to get there. I mean, He's a almost league average shooter. He is putting up 0.66 fantasy points per minute. I believe he's Australian. That's fun. So that's my Johnny Furphy fun facts. Not a guy I think I need to play. He looks like he should be a good 3-point shooter. Which is me being biased, but he doesn't really do that. It's like, what are you doing out there, Johnny? You know, it was good though. Last night, Hunter Tyson lit that shit up. That's what Johnny Furphy wishes he was.
Same for Zeke Naji. And but hold on, just to circle back here for 1 second. Why do you think he looks like he'd be a good shooter?
Well, he's lanky. He's got floppy hair. He's got traits that I think commit well to being a good 3-point shooter. He just needs to wear an Indiana jersey.
I mean,
Tall white
Elfrid
guy,
Payton had floppy hair. He couldn't shoot.
No, he could not shoot. That's true. He could assist like a demon though.
Any other traits for Johnny Furphy that you think breed shooting well? Just curious.
I mean, again, just a natural fit in that Indiana uniform. He just seems like the kind of guy that would be a rangy 3-point shooter.
All right. Anything else for Indy Cleveland?
No, I think it's really a team of just the top pieces look great. The other pieces really don't seem to come up at all. But Micah Potter day for sure.
All right, let's take a peek at this one on the FanDuel side, because obviously some of this stuff could look a little bit different depending on the pricing. About 60% ownership to Darius Garland, but Pascal Siakam, about 40% owned here, whereas Evan Mobley just north of 30. So a little bit different there. Nemhard's 30, McConnell's 23, Jarrett Allen is 20, has the MPE. Neesmith a little bit less owned here at 20. And then it really falls off to DeAndre Hunter and Sam Merrill in and around 10. But similar at the top. You're getting to a lot of Garland, a lot of Siakam, a lot of Evan Mobley. And then you're trying to sift through this like Nemhard, TJ McConnell, Jarrett Allen, Aaron Neesmith group. So a little bit different on FanDuel than it is on DraftKings. Now, not every game is going to look like that first one. The next game up, Orlando and Washington. Slightly different, but I've got some things I like here quite a bit. Washington team in the news right now. Murmurings of Trae Young. We shall see. We are getting 35% ownership on the Orlando side to Paolo Banchero. We're also getting 30 to Wendell Carter Jr. One note for the Orlando Magic for today. No Jalen Suggs for this one. Desmond Bane's 15% owned. Tristan Da Silva's 10. Goga's, we're really curious about how light we are for value options today. How are you feeling about the two guys getting love, Banchero and Wendell Carter Jr.? Because I have a take.
I'm low on Banchero, and I'm curious your take, but I'm low on Banchero, and I'm surprised to see how low I am on him projection-wise relative to Stochastic's number, where I've got him at 45.4. Stochastic has him at 49.6. I think he has been underproducing a little bit this year relative to the longer-term sample size, and my projections weight the current season a little bit higher, so I presume that's the why. But I'm surprised to see him be that low. It definitely scares me a little bit because I'm only getting about 10% of him compared to the field being over 33%. But it makes me a little bit higher in Anthony Black, who I feel like has been pretty good, getting him at 21%. And Wendell Carter, who you asked about, getting him a little bit above the field. He's in 35% of my lineups. Field's 31. Feels like, the normal logic would be a big man versus the Wizards in a slight, pace up spot, though it's not really that much of a pace up this year. But it's a slight pace up spot, bad defense, like Wendell Carter can get there. He gains enough rate wise from having no Suggs, no Franz out there that I don't mind him, but I am getting a lot more Wendell than Banchero, I guess. So what's your hot take?
I am also getting more of Wendell Carter Jr. than I am Banchero. 44%. In fact, look, 5,500 against the Wiz just looks good. That's what the Wizards do. They make other people look awesome in DFS. I have 10% Paolo Banchero. We're on the same page here, man. I don't ever get him right. That's for sure. Like, I feel like I can't. Clearly, he's in a great spot here against Washington. But 9,200, I just don't trust it. Like, I'm more interested in Desmond Bane at 7,900 with guard forward eligibility than I am getting to Banchero at 9,200. Now, obviously, he's a good play. He's 37% optimal, whatever we want to take from that on Banchero. He's in a great spot. Could play upwards of 36 minutes if this one's competitive. I don't want to talk people off of Banchero. He just happens to be a pay up option that I'm getting a little bit less of for tonight. And it sounds like you and I are on the same page. So I kind of like that.
It happens so rarely. It's nice when it happens, but I agree with Banchero. I also don't feel like I get him right a ton because he does have those sporadic 60-point days, but there were so many duds in there, and it's a little bit easier to kind of, I think, move away from Banchero when Franz is out. But he's more than priced appropriately for Franz, and Suggs being out at this point. And I feel like Banchero, the days you go there, like it's when he's not owned. Like that's when he might hit the ceiling, and it's worth being there. When he's going to be owned by about a third of the field, I don't know. He's also such a dog shit shooter, which I also hate.
Yeah, I would like him to start shooting well so that all of my takes about Paolo Banchero can start to come true, because so far he's not making me look great. Bane is the guy I'm getting the second most of. And then I've got, 12% of Tristan da Silva, a couple random shares of Goga. Do you have any other Orlando takes? Any interest in my guy Desmond Bane today?
Yeah, I got 15% Bane, so with the field on that. Black is definitely the one that I'm hoping like cuts the ownership product on some of the chalkier lineups I have, because Black's only projected to be 10% owned. That price tag is definitely some sticker shock, but he's producing fairly well with all the guys missing, and usage for him with Suggs and with Franz Wagner off the court this year. We're talking about 27% usage, which is dead even with Bane still behind Banchero, but he's getting shots up meaningfully. The assists too have been there for him, so I like Black, but I got a little bit of Da Silva too. Got a little bit of Goga, a little bit more of Jace Richardson, but not a super exciting play. Even though he's producing 0.8 fantasy points per minute. Nothing really to note there, but he's cheap on a slate where there aren't a lot of cheap guys. So that's probably the best case you can make for Jace Richardson.
We've got some ownership coming in on the Washington. Trey Johnson, your highest owned guy at about 20%. We've got some positive leverage there as well. Alex Sarr at 7,100. Center only, about 17% owned. Siege Love, he's 15% owned. Then it kind of falls off after that, single digit wise. Do you have any wizards that are standing out for you? Because right now, I'm right around the field on CJ, but I don't have that kind of amount of Trey Johnson. I don't have any of Alex Sarr. I do have a little bit of Justin Champagny, so I'd like that to go away. I don't like the Wizards here all that much.
I don't mind the Wizards because having Keyshawn George out, I think is still they're not all the way priced correctly for that. The spot versus Orlando, not as bad as it's been in previous years. I'd say they're closer to league average defense than they were, a great one. The pace for them is up this year as well, with them at about 100 pace. So I think you can make the case that the Wizards are an okay play, if not, a good play. But I got Sarr at 20%. His minutes not high enough to really feel super confident about, but he's been a good producer at about 1.3 fantasy points per minute on the year. So I'm okay being there. McCollum seems to be the biggest usage winner, gets to about 27.5% usage, and also a 21% assist rate with Keyshawn George off the court. So maybe a little more safety to his minutes, a little more upside in those fronts. I got him at 17%, which is barely above the field. Trey Johnson, I am above on, got him at about 25. The field's at 21 and change, not a super exciting play either, but he is producing okay at 0.85 fantasy points per minute. And there's, just a role for him now with Keyshawn George off the court, but kind of think that Justin Champagny, Bub Carrington, those guys all project closely enough to me that I don't really feel great having a lean towards Trey Johnson, but he's starting, seemingly has more reliable minutes. But I think those price tags work well for those three. But I think, it's a team where if you took them off the slate, I wouldn't really complain that much, but I definitely have more Sarr, McCollum, and Trey Johnson than I would have thought. And they project it all okay to me.
Are you nervous at all that they start stepping on CJ's minutes as they try to use him as salary ballast for a trade?
I mean, do they showcase him and let him go for 50 again as they have before? I don't know.
That's what they need to do. Showcase CJ McCollum. I'm sure no one knows.
Not enough tape out there about him. Yeah, I think for McCollum, that's a reasonable thought. It's just the Wizards don't do anything that's smart anyway. And, it seems like at the very least, based on the reports, they're not the only team in the hunt for Trey Young. So it's not like you take McCollum off because he might go to the Wolves, apparently, based on some of the rumors floating around out there today. So I think you play him out no matter what. But I don't think it's unreasonable to say, you don't go nuts on him, but I'm not going nuts on him anyway.
Any chance you think he can go for 50 fantasy or for 50 real points today? Let's not forget FanDuel offering the 50-point jackpot today. If you can make your pick and that person drops 50 real points, you split $1 million in bonus bets, I believe.
Man, doesn't seem like the matchup for it and the total for it, but I mean, all it takes for him is just him to shoot a little bit more than Alex Sarr. The other guys there just don't really get enough usage, I feel with Keyshawn George out. Nobody above 20% besides Trey Johnson. So wouldn't be my preferred bet, but I think you're probably getting decent odds on that.
I can tell you that I only had 25 people in my sims across 10K sims for each game. I only had 25 people get to 50 real points in a sim. CJ McCollum is one of them. He had 2 simulations where he got to 50. He ranks 24th of 25.
Yeah, he's not bad. Like he can still score, and he's definitely still shooting a lot. He just, he's really not the player that's going to age gracefully, it feels like, but the game is still there offensively.
Luka with the highest chance to do it today at 5%.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. 11% chance someone does it. So not exactly likely tonight, but let's pull up Orlando and Washington on the FanDuel side. I don't have anything else really to add for either one of those teams right now.
Yeah, same.
So on the FanDuel side, Desmond Bain, the guy that I was trying to talk up on the DraftKings side, 7,600, 40% owned, almost double anybody else on the FanDuel side. Wendell Carter Jr. is 20, Alex Sarr is 20, CJ McCollum is 20, Anthony Black just shy of 20. You get Trey Johnson, Banchero, Middleton, and Tristan Da Silva in the 10 to 15 range. So Paolo Banchero at 10,400 on FanDuel, not nearly the same play that he is on the DraftKings side. That price tag much, much higher and a little bit more difficult to get to. Banchero certainly looks more like a DraftKings play than a FanDuel play. 3 to go. Now, the first two games that we talked about both lock at 7 o'clock. The next 3 games that we have all lock at 8 o'clock. So we have one late swap opportunity here, and that is it. The next game that we're going to talk about, San Antonio Spurs, Memphis Grizzlies. We are still waiting on a little bit of news here. We did get some a bit earlier in that Ja Morant is doubtful for today. Vince Williams is back. He is probable. We are also waiting on news for Victor Wembanyama. He is currently questionable. The news that came in caused the following to happen. About 35% ownership for Cam Spencer, point guard, shooting guard eligible, 6,100. 20% ownership to a $3,800 KCP, guard forward eligibility. Not a lot of cheapies out there. The only other person getting double digits in ownership is Jock Landale on the nose at 10.00, a 5K center. Everybody else in this game, including the entire San Antonio Spurs team, sub 10% owned right now. How do you want to handle these Memphis guys first? Because clearly they've got some options that look a little bit better than the San Antonio side. And I will say, I have Cam Spencer in 54% of my lineups.
Yeah, I'm getting Cam Spencer at about 45% of mine. So I definitely am in agreement with you that getting above the field seems right there. Do him about 1.5 fantasy points higher than Stochastic has him. I think the rate boost that he gets, the usage up about 2 percentage points, assist rate up about 3.5 percentage points with Ja off along. I think I took off ED too. But like basically he's your lead point guard for this team. Not a lot of great shot creation going around outside of that with, also Coward out too does kind of make that a little bit easier of a runway for him. I think Cam Spencer is a really nice play today. He does play into exactly what the field's going to be doing ad nauseum, which is playing really balanced builds, it seems, because there's really isn't that value to go to as opposed to a slate like yesterday. But I think for Cam Spencer, he's your ideal guy to go to in that kind of build where you could still afford Garland. Cam Spencer is point guard, shooting guard, so you get him in at least in one extra spot there. You could still afford Mobley easily. You could still get to Jared Allen if you want to do that. It's like he works well with, I think, those kind of builds. So for Cam Spencer, really hard to imagine I'm going to get less in the field on where I am right now. KCP, I feel like I get a lot of slates where, there's obvious chalk value on his price tag. I get him then. He's been an okay producer on the year at 0.8 fantasy points a minute. Does seem to get some more assist upside, some more usage from having Ja Morant off, but I think he's just cheap, and shooting guard, small forward is the main reason to get there. But I am getting there a lot. Getting him also at 45%, and the field's at 21. And then Jock Landale getting a 20%, field's at 10. Not a super exciting play, but he's another mid-price guy with a decent projection. So that's sort of the theme of the slate for me.
Completely agree on Spencer. I'm right at the field on KCP. I've got about 20%. We just don't have a ton of value for today, and his is super easy and flexible. He's a good enough per minute guy that it's not like death. Not that he's the best in the world. I don't really have any Jock Landale. I do have a 2.5x stand on a Memphis Grizzly. Care to guess who that might be?
For me, it would be Santi Aldama, but I feel like for you, it might be Jaren Jackson. You're just finally getting there today, hoping he hits.
For me, it would be Santi Aldama. Good call.
Okay.
Yeah. I got him into 20% of my lineups right now. Look, 7K is not awesome for Aldama, but power forward center eligibility, just 6% owned, which I find interesting. And look, he just does stuff and has to be out there. I expect him to play somewhere around 30 minutes. Every once in a while, he grabs a couple extras. I think he's going to start. We have him marked to start for right now. As long as that holds up, I think he's a little under-owned for what we're getting out of this slate today. The price, like, while I don't love 7K, it's still in the range of like the same way everything is balanced today. Realistically, like, as long as you're not playing Luka, you can be pretty balanced with what you're doing. I think Santi Aldama should probably be a hair more owned than he is.
Yeah, on the year, he's producing 1.08 fantasy points per minute, which is the highest of all the Grizzlies playing today, including Jaren Jackson, which surprises me a little bit, but I guess it shouldn't.
Hate it. What is wrong with you, Jaren Jackson? It's breaking my heart, man.
Yeah, getting big paid though.
Yeah, I wouldn't care too much if I made $180 million or whatever the hell it is over the next 4 years. The whole world can just line up in front of my front door and tell me I suck in an assembly line, and I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's worth it. I think trade-off is definitely worth it.
We have one more question that we have to answer for the Memphis Grizzlies today. And it's kind of a tricky one for what we have. Do you have any interest in Gregory Jackson, aka Gigi Jackson, 3,900 power forward eligible, just 3.5% owned? Has played 22, 21, 23, 15, and 22 minutes across the last 5. We've got him in for 21 and change right now. Like, I know the positionality isn't the best, but is he really a worse option than KCP?
That hurts to hear you say it out loud, but no, he probably isn't. I mean, he's a better producer by about 0.13 fantasy points per minute. So, yeah, I think the positionality is really the bigger issue, that you have KCP at shooting guard, small forward, and then you have Gigi Jackson at power forward. But I like Gigi Jackson. Like, he's absolutely an awful shooter, and he does shoot probably more than he should relative to that. But he's still a guy that can get hot from 3, can also rebound and block a little bit. Kind of reminds me of Noah Clowney. Like, he should be doing more. Like, he should be attacking a little bit more, should be screening and rolling more, doing other stuff, and he doesn't. But in terms of like him being better than KCP because he hits a few threes, maybe grabs a rebound or two, gets a block, like Jackson can do that.
Anything else here for these guys? Jalen Wells is a name we haven't mentioned. I find him to be mostly uninteresting at 5,200. I can't imagine Vince Williams is playing any sort of real minutes today. It doesn't seem like he would, at least. Also $1,000 more expensive than KCP. I don't have much else here to talk about from Memphis.
Yeah, Vince Williams projects really poorly for me, so I'm not going to be there. Him being injured again too seems like you'd probably want to slow roll that a little bit after he was injured for a lot of time over the last season and change. Wells, I didn't really get to. I mean, he's going to play enough minutes, probably about 30 based on stochastic data. So maybe you can get there, but he's 5,200. Yeah, I think it's most of the guys we talked about.
So then on the San Antonio side, obviously we're waiting on the news for Victor Wembanyama. I feel like he's playing, so I'm just going to go ahead and assume that he is. Do you want anything from San Antonio right now? They don't have a single guy north of 10% owned.
Yeah, I mean, Novosel, it helps a little bit, but Wemby in, even if he is going to be limited to 25 minutes or so, with coming back off another injury, it's hard to get there. I feel like Wemby just takes enough stats away during his time period. He's producing, 1.7 fantasy points per minute. So having him out there, even if you only were playing 20 minutes, it's just enough that these guys are not priced correctly. And I like Fox. I like Castle. If Wemby were ruled out, I could be there again. And then, Cornette would certainly be opened up. Olynyk as a bench option would be theoretically a little bit more open too. But if Wemby's in, they look like one of the worst teams on the slate. I mean, it might be the actual worst team on the slate.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have 8% of De'Aaron Fox, 6 of Castle, and then a random share of Champagne and Harper, and that's it. I will say, Wemby was player number 25 in one of my 10,000 sims. Even in these limited minutes, he got 50 real points.
That must have been a fun game in that sim. Sometimes you wish you could see the actual game instead of the play-by-play data.
Yeah, as someone that has a future bet on Wemby to score 50 plus points during this season, I would love to see it. Don't really care which day it happens, but he will not be the guy he's not the guy that I took on the FanDuel side today. Yeah, I don't like if Wemby's out, obviously these guys all look like incrementally better, but nobody's going to look amazing even if it happens. I just don't have
No.
much here. I'd like to have a little bit more interest, but I don't even know where it would go.
I like Castle a lot when you take any sort of usage piece off from the Spurs because it just seems like the rates really benefit him. If you take Harper out, you take Wemby out, you take whatever out, especially one of those guys plus Vassell already being out. I think I could get to Fox and Castle a little bit, but I think they're going to be mostly appropriately priced if you got Wemby out. Like they wouldn't be like, oh, let's jam him in. You get 10, 20%. You're like, oh, cool. This is awesome. I'm getting a guy that's now looks pretty decent.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me as well. It's just not that appealing of a game. So let's check the FanDuel side. San Antonio, Memphis. Highest owned guy in this game is 63% owned. Cam Spencer at 5,500 is the clear top option coming out of this game on the FanDuel, and one of the first things you're putting into any cash game lineup. A little bit more ownership, though, for the rest of this game. 20 to Jalen Wells, 17 for Jock Landale, 10 to 15 on KCP, Castle, Vince Williams, and Jaren Jackson. So a little bit more ownership coming in on the FanDuel side across the board, but Cam Spencer is the dude on FanDuel with that eligibility and that price tag. Might be the highest owned guy, and if he's not, he's at least pretty damn close to it. Nope, he is just the highest owned guy, 4 percentage points ahead of Darius Garland. Got to get to Cam Spencer on the FanDuel side. Not our only 8 o'clock game, though. 2 more to go. Miami, Minnesota. This one's kind of tricky. Jaime Jaquez out. Tyler Hero is back for the first time in ages, taking on this Minnesota team. So slightly different setup for Miami. I did, in fact, take Norm Powell to be the guy that scores 50 real points today.
Oh, interesting. Hero being in is not good for that.
No, nothing being in for any of this shit is good for it. It doesn't look great, but Norm Powell has one skill, scoring. So I'm just hoping, like, if it's going, it keeps going. I'll tell you this much. If he scores 49 tonight, I'm throwing myself off the top of my house. Anyway, 15% ownership to Julius Randle, 10 to Norm Powell. Everyone else in this game is sub 10% owned. But we are waiting on a mild piece of news right here. Anthony Edwards is questionable. And if you trust the prop markets right now, that dude ain't playing. That said, I don't totally know what to believe, but Minnesota minus 3.5 is the line, and I've got it at 6 with Ant in. Seems like he's not going to play today.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would love to have him out because I think Randall would be a really nice play at that point, and we could use a few more really nice plays. But yeah, for the Miami side, I guess before we go to that part of things, I also am with you on the Norm Powell thing, getting 10% of him. I think that he's like a nice tournament option play, not super well projected, but does gain a little bit of usage theoretically from Jaquez not being available. But having Hero in, I think, sort of makes these guys like that's pretty much a 1-for-1 trade, trading Hawkins' usage and role for Hero coming in. Hero's really not been that great to start the year. The assist upside for him seemingly has been gone. Only 11% assist rate on the year, but still, 1.1 fan sports minute. He's not playable, but he does impact everything here on Miami's side that I really don't think anything besides Powell. A little bit of Davion Mitchell, my boy allegedly, but really not. I barely play Davion Mitchell at this point. Andrew Wiggins, also a guy getting the barest minimum amount of, and Pele Larson as a value option. Not a super exciting value. There's probably better ones, but I got him at 7%. So Miami just not a super exciting side here. And Hero being back in, I just feel like Hero's quietly having, and he's been hurt for a lot of it. Like what is he doing? Like they need to move on from him if he's going to be in this kind of no man's land where, I mean, they got rid of Butler for him, and now he seems like an also ran on the team for as much as he has played this year.
Dude, if you think the return for Trae Young is bad, wait till you see what the return for someone like Tyler Hero would be. Oof.
He can shoot.
Much worse. He can shoot. He can shoot. Speaking of guys that are just making a shit ton of money, what up, Tyler Hero? I got 12% of Ant, 12% of Gobert. I'm minimal to the rest of this. Now, this one's obviously subject to change pretty dramatically. I think Randall looks a lot better if Ant ends up out. McDaniels looks better. DiVincenzo looks better. Naz Reid looks way better. Naz Reid, by the way, my king of the court pick for today.
Oh, like actually, I feel like you've listed like 4 different guys. Even like
no, so the FanDuel gimmick, I took Norm Powell. The DraftKings gimmick for king of the court, I took Naz Reid.
Okay, there's too many of these gimmicks. I appreciate the enthusiasm for it because it does make a nice, fun wrinkle here. But it's hard to keep up with these various bonus bet based enterprises. Yeah, I'm with you. I think right now these guys look like okay tournament options to get to. Like Randall to me, playable. Gobert playable. Getting both guys around 15, closer to 20% for Gobert. Nothing strong really as a lean there, but on a slate where very few players even project as a 5x value. Those guys do. So would look a lot better for Randall if we get Anthony Edwards out. As you mentioned, would look a lot better for Naz Reid, DiVincenzo. Somebody in the chat asked, and I don't think this would be the case, but do you get a Bones Highland start if Ant's out, or is it a different direction now?
That's a good question. Let me think about it here. Let me look at this for a second. I mean, it was Bones last time. I would lean Conley. But obviously, Bones is going to take on a decent chunk of minutes in that scenario. And Bones at 3,500 will obviously start to look like a much, much better value play than, whatever, like the non-existent value that he is now. Sneaky suspicion it would be Conley. But I think Bones is probably like 50-50 to be that dude, though. Conley wasn't available last time.
Yeah, I mean, if he came off the bench or started, he'd be a value too. Like I think Randall would be the priority for me no matter what. I would get McDaniels more too. Yeah. But like I think Bones would be in play as, on a slate where there's no value.
Yeah, he's going to get, the last time someone from their starting lineup was out, it was McDaniels on the 23rd against the Knicks. Conley started in place of McDaniels for that one. Now, that's obviously not the same thing because of Edwards and the way that they play. In that game, Bones Highland played 25 minutes. So, even just giving him that sort of same setup, 24, 25 minutes as a $3,500 point guard and a pretty good per minute dude, he's going to become one of the better value plays by default just by getting those minutes, whether he starts or not. Because we just don't have, he's immediately going to be way better than KCP.
Oh yeah, fully agree. I mean, sucks he doesn't have the shooting guard, small forward, point guard, shooting guard, but I agree that he would project better right away.
I figure he ends up like 30-something% owned at that point or something in that neighborhood. We want to keep our eye on him. And then, Conley got 30 minutes in that start, so I don't know what to do with that, but Mike Conley's 3,200. They're probably both going to look pretty damn good depending on how it breaks. The game that McDaniels got hurt, which was the game before, Conley got to 24 minutes in that one. Then he started the next one and played 30. So there's a lot of weird shit that's going to happen for Minnesota if Ant doesn't play.
And Conley's doing nothing this year, huh? 12% usage, 0.69 fantasy points per minute, which is not so nice, but 3,200. He's right near Leonard Miller is a tough scene for Mike Conley.
Nah, he's a mummy out there, but 3,200 on a DFS slate is unfortunately something we'll probably look at today.
He's like Chris Paul if the team liked Chris Paul, wanted to keep him around for veteran leadership and spot starts.
Yeah, not so much, I guess. How about the Miami side? Norm Powell at 10% owned. Everybody else in single digits. I've got 10% of Bam. I don't have much of this Miami team. I don't really have anything that I want to target, especially with Hero back now.
Yeah, no, I got the 10% Powell, 7% Pele Larson. That's it for me. Bam, I've had low all year. I feel like Bam has not really been as great of a producer as he's been historically, but people kind of keep playing him. I mean, people aren't honestly playing him that much, but when he's priced appropriately and a situation comes up, I think people are expecting Bam to kind of be back to the old days, but he's getting outproduced right now, fantasy points per minute wise, by Powell, by Ware. The Ware one, I think in particular, stands out because he is deferring a little bit more in rebounds to Ware. But I think for Bam, always kind of has a ceiling. I just don't get there very often. But yeah, for Miami, to me, I think it's mostly Powell and Larson. And if I wasn't allowed to play him, it really wouldn't impact anything for me.
We shall take a peek at these guys on the FanDuel side as well. And don't forget, hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. We're not going anywhere at the top of the hour. I mean, Spags and I are. We're going to get out of here. Greg and Eric are going to be here for Live Before Lock. They're going to take you all the way up until 7. They'll hit any of this news that might pop up before we get here. You want to stick around because if we get that Ant news, you're going to want to see the updated data. If we get the Wemby news, you're going to want to see that updated data. And then you just never know if something crazy can happen from 6 to 7. They'll be here next. So hit that like button and stick around because we don't stop till 7 p.m. Castle, 13% owned on FanDuel. Your next highest owned guy, Norm Powell, 6.5. So everything we just said for DraftKings, pretty much the same story on FanDuel. Keep your eye on the Wemby news. 1 to go, dude. No one named their kid Bam. It's not his name. Shout out Idris. Lakers Pels.
There's some Bams out there. I mean, he's not. Bam Adebayo's not. But, there's got to be somebody who's actually named Bam.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, there's some stupid-ass names out there. Can't all be naming our kid Audio Science, like the girl from 40 Days, 40 Nights.
Wait, is Bam Margera actually Bam?
No.
What's his real name?
He is not. Brandon, I believe. I could be wrong.
Let's see. Yeah, Brandon. Yeah, you know your 90s skaters / stuntmen.
Dude, I was early to the CKY gimmick long before Jackass. These guys were like an hour south of me, man. I knew who they were, and I wasn't even a skateboarding guy.
I was gonna say, did you skateboard too? Because I could see you having that stage.
No, but I was watching CKY 2K, and that video was fun, man. Good shit. Good times. Time to talk Lakers and Pels. These teams, I don't know, the old school Anthony Davis trade, shipping out Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, whoever the fuck else was on the team in that trade that I can't remember. We got 12-2 Luka today, 20% owned. We've talked about the value that we have. It's minimal. 15% ownership for Marcus Smart, 15% ownership for Jake LaRavia, about 10 for LeBron James. No Austin Reeves, no Rui Hachimura. On the Pels side, it appears they could be getting Herb Jones back for this one. No one on the New Orleans Pelicans is north of 10% ownership. So how do you want to handle Luka Doncic today on a day where it's not that easy to get to him, but the Pelicans stink, and if Luka just goes for 70-something, you're going to need it. How do you want to handle him?
I mean, that's exactly how I feel about it. I think you summed it up perfectly there, where it's one of the spots where, like when you have Jokic on, obviously we don't have Jokic right now, but a couple slates ago where he's 50% owned, everybody's there. It's sort of tough to love that play. Like I love Jokic, love playing him on every slate, but that's sort of when, the upside's priced in to some extent with half the fields, expect him to give you an outcome where you need him. For Luka today, now the ownership's up to 20%. I think Gabe Vincent being marked back out helped out the projection a little bit there. I think that's a reasonable amount for him. It still feels a little bit light for a slate that's not super big, where we've had so many players like we've talked about that just don't look like really well-priced plays, don't look like good plays. We have entire teams that just don't look like they're priced appropriately. So then getting a Luka on a slate like that is a decent thing to do, where it's not easy to get the value. There isn't that Denver value. There isn't a Day'Ron Sharp type on the slate. You're just going to have to find a way to get creative, roll the dice on some low projected guy. I think it's worth getting like 25% Luka, maybe a little bit more than that. Right now I'm getting 30. I'm cool with that number. But I could see that getting to 33%, 40% if things broke a certain way. I just like Luka in the spot. He's producing, 1.7 fantasy points a minute or so in spots without Austin Reeves on the year. LeBron is doing more for sure, but it's really just a 2-man team at this point. So I think Luka, if you can get there and you're willing to kind of play some not so great value, then that'll work out okay.
I don't know how the hell I just did whatever I did. I started typing and it didn't work out.
Hotkeys.
Apparently it's hotkeys. I'm glad there's not an end stream hotkey because I probably would have found it there with the amount of buttons I pressed and the amount of things that I changed when I wasn't paying attention to it.
That's
So
like the day
I'm like
I
right
ended
around the
it.
field on Luca. Oh yeah,
That was,
yes, like the day you ended it.
that
I
was pure
almost did it
panic on my
recently.
end. Well, like to recount it, like everything froze here because StreamYard, I was having a lot of issues with StreamYard at that point, and everything froze. And I was just like, clicking out, and everything was locked up, and I couldn't see anything. And I'm like, that's the worst way to do it. But a hotkey would be a worse way to do it, where you're like, what could I have possibly done? Like at least I knew I was
Yeah.
like, I'm clicking in the area. I could kind of see how this could happen.
I'm basically dead neutral to Luca. Wouldn't mind having a bit more because I like it for what today is, especially with them being in the later game. Like you could move it around if you need to. The guy that I'm taking a bit of a stand on is Laravia. 14% owned. I've got 25%. Decent enough stand. 5,500. Soaking up a ton of minutes. Like the spot. Don't think the role is going to change in any way. Flexibility with an MPE. He's the guy that I actually like the most here. Marcus Smart, probably a close second, but I don't feel like I get Marcus Smart right ever. He just kind of goes out there and doesn't do anything. But guard forward, 4,600. We don't have a ton of those today. The one guy that I am not getting for the Los Angeles Lakers is the greatest basketball player that has ever lived. And that is Luka Doncic. That is LeBron James.
Freudian slip there.
I mean, it won't be true by the end, but he is confirmed really good. Yeah, I don't have LeBron today. I don't mind.
Yeah, it's hard with LeBron because the usage is there. Like he's getting shots up without Austin Reeves. Like usage climbs to 31%. Assist rate hangs enough as well. And he's shooting above league average, 59% true shooting now. Not so great from three at 31% there, but you got to think it'll get better for LeBron if he's hanging above league average overall. But he's not rebounding, which is a little bit of a tough thing. Like the lack of rebounding, I think, is a business decision by him at this point to not tax himself quite as much. And, that's part of his upside is being able to get that triple double. But now you're talking about a guy that, about 5 projected rebounds or so in a given spot, maybe less than that. But, he's unowned and he has all the shots in the world. He's facing New Orleans, so not a high paced team either. It's going to really gas him out on that front. I feel like if LeBron were to get an outlier day, this is kind of spot where you do. I mean, Cooper, again, I said it like on my stream this morning, but like Cooper Flagg lit the team up. Not that Cooper Flagg's bad. Like he's obviously going to be a good player. He's not all the way there yet. LeBron could do it if the things broke the right way.
Is anybody going to light the Lakers up from the New Orleans Pelicans? Herb Jones with the Q tag. No ownership here. Everybody sub 10%. I got 12% of Derek Queen. I find him at least a little interesting today at 6,500. Having the power forward eligibility just feels like a random dude that could be interesting today. Like not all that 5% owned. So it's not like it's some sort of big stand. I got 10% of Trey Murphy, which is what he's owned. I'm lower on everybody else. You want to roll the dice on Zion? Do you like anything here?
I'm getting Trey Murphy at 25% right now, which I think is just a low owned piece that projects okay and kind of it cuts the ownership product down a little bit. But Trey Murphy, nothing special at this point. The roster being at full strength doesn't help out Trey Murphy. And Trey Murphy, great shooter, feels like he's one of those guys. Would love to see him go to a better team and be the third option, fourth option somewhere and just get some shots up. But he's doing what he's doing now, and I think he's an okay play. Zion, a little bit harder to get to price tag wise. I feel like he does have that kind of upside, like you're talking about with Derek Queen, and at 8,300, just don't see the way to afford him too easily, especially with Mobley being cheaper and for me projecting infinitely better. And I'm sure everywhere projecting infinitely better. But it does feel like Zion has the upside. He's playing better. Seemingly, this team I think is figuring out how to slot each other in. And it's weird because the team should work, and it's not going to be like a winning team, but they are winning more. And it's because I think these guys are all playing in their own role, staying in their own lane to some extent. And that's probably part of the issue for Zion is that he's just not, pushing the usage too high. He's letting these guys get shots up. But I like what you're doing with Queen. I got 4% there, maybe closer to 5. Would love to get more because I like Derek Queen, but just doesn't project that well for me. Just New Orleans, it's a good total in this game. Lakers, not a defense I'm afraid of. But New Orleans, I think, is to me kind of appropriately priced.
So I don't get yelled at like I did yesterday. New Orleans Pelicans and Los Angeles Lakers on the FanDuel side. 25% ownership coming into LeBron James. 25% ownership coming into Luka Doncic. 15 from my man Laravia. round 10 for Smart and for Zion Williamson. Trey Murphy sitting in pretty much the exact same spot that he was there. But LeBron, much more popular on the FanDuel end than he is on the DraftKings side. Makes some sense too. 9K, better flexibility. Kind of got to get to that kind of stuff on the FanDuel side. But that's where we stand for FanDuel. I didn't want anybody to yell at me like I got yelled at yesterday for it. So we talked about it. Now
it's because we kept covering FanDuel, and then there were 2 more games, and you just didn't hit it. I'm like, why are we doing FanDuel at all? Like, either give it to him or don't give it to him. Don't half dick him.
Look, sometimes you only deserve a half dicking, but when they have the slate set up so it's the same slate, it's easy. When there's like 10 more games, then I don't care. It's hard to talk about 2 things in opposite ways. Right. Let's see, 2, 4, 6. There are 8 guys on DraftKings projected for 30% ownership or higher. Garland, Mobley, Spencer, Banchero, Neesmith, Siakam, McConnell, and Wendell Carter Jr. Who of those stock plays do you like the least?
Oh, give me the list one more time.
Garland, Mobley, Spencer, Banchero, Neesmith, Siakam, McConnell, and Carter.
Banchero. I think we're on the same page with that with Banchero.
So it's McConnell for me, but Banchero would be second.
Okay. So those are the 2 to play tonight, guys. If you want to really
probably
win it all, lock them in.
Yes, probably. I trust McConnell less. I don't love the Banchero option, but he is Paolo Banchero, and he gets to face the Wizards, and that isn't lost on me. Even if I'm not going to be getting to as much as I would have liked, but McConnell's the guy that just scares the shit out of me permanently.
Yeah,
I mean, I talked all the smack in the world on him in the playoffs last year, and he just kept going out there and looking like he was prime Pistol Pete. So didn't help me.
He's playing well this year. He's putting up like 1.3 almost fantasy points per minute or something. I was like, because I thought his rates just took a massive jump up with Matherin off. And I'm like, what is going on here? It's like, no, he just plays at that rate roughly. Anyway, gets a little bit better, but not. He's been good. He just doesn't play enough minutes.
Now he can't. Plays too hard. Crazy. Yeah. All right, who's the guy you love the most in that top 8?
For me, it's Mobley. I mean, he just really looks to me like the guy that's going to be in almost every lineup. I get why Garland's coming up a lot too. I normally like Garland a lot more than market does, but today for me, it's a Mobley spot.
I agree. I have no player on today's slate more than I have Evan Mobley. Looks awesome. 7,600 with an MPE against the Pacers. Who's guarding him? Micah Potter? Jay Huff? Nah. He's in great shape. Love it. It's Evan Mobley season. And we are now 10 seconds away from the top of the hour, which means it is live before lock time, ladies and gents. You know what that means. Greg Ehrenberg, Eric Lindquist, come on down. What up, boys? Happy January 6th.
What is happening, guys? So just realized that was your screen that was sharing and not mine. So I'll go throw mine up on the screen. But yeah, we've got a smaller slate today, but lots of value to be had. So you guys just went over, obviously, a bunch of it there. You can see here, I've got us sorted by the ownership projections here on screen. Both FanDuel and DraftKings have done us the favor of leaving the 11 p.m. Eastern time game off of the slate, which is good. I know Josh was talking about at the end there. He didn't want, I know Josh sure shit didn't want to talk about an 11 p.m. FanDuel slates they usually include as an island game on those slates. But some key injury news that we still have outside of the last game. Anthony Edwards, he's questionable. Victor Wembanyama is questionable. Jalen Tyson is questionable, which, on a lot of slates, Tyson being questionable wouldn't matter all that much, but Donovan Mitchell's resting today. So we're definitely going to have some stuff to talk about as the show goes on here and potentially some late swap opportunities as well. So Spags, Josh, get the hell out of here. It's Eric and I's time to shine over here. Do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I give a little bit of a precursor to some of the news for today. Do you have any strong leans on either your guy Ant or Wemby or potentially Jalen Tyson being out tonight?
Jalen Tyson, I'm pretty sure sits, but it doesn't really matter because of when that news comes out. So I think that's about the only one that I really have any kind of like a significant lean on. How about you?
I tend to think that Ant is going to end up sitting. It's always so weird to me because he was downgraded in the middle of the day for injury maintenance. Now we see these guys end up playing sometimes in these scenarios, but still it's like, why make a guy a midday downgrade for what is something that's selective? Like this isn't an ankle injury. It's not a knee injury. This is, are we going to rest him or not? And he's questionable essentially for rest. And when teams do that in the middle of the day, more often than not, I tend to think that they're going to end up not playing historically. Ant has been a guy who plays through a ton of injuries, but we've actually seen him miss, I won't call it significant time, but multiple games twice this season. So I do think that we're starting to see Anthony Edwards now being not old by any stretch, but 24 turns 25 this season. It's a little bit different from being 21, 22 years old. And I do tend to think that Ant sits tonight.
Okay. I'm like 55-45 purely being a Wolves fan. And I can think of multiple times over the course of the last 3 years where he gets an early downgrade and it doesn't matter. And he just plays through it. It's strange. And as you said, it's injury maintenance. It's not like something that actually popped up that was like, oh, now his knee hurts. Oh, now his ankle hurts or something like that. Like we know that he was dinged up. We know that he had sat out for a while. And we also know that he's Wolverine and he self-regenerates and he's usually fine in these kind of spots. But yeah, if it was another player other than Ant, I would be inclined to think that they sit, but I don't have a great gauge on it because of who it is.
Yeah, if he hadn't already missed, 6-7 games this year, how many has it been?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, if he hadn't already missed 7 games this year, then I would say he probably just plays because this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is already the most amount of games he's missed in a single season in his career, isn't it?
Yeah, they brought that up on the telecast the other night that Anthony Edwards has missed more games this season than he has any prior season, and it's January 6th.
Yeah, so I think he sits. It's not 100% confident. It's just my best guess with the Edwards situation. I'm also going to be situating my lineups to take into the fact that I think there's a pretty good chance that Ant sits. So this is your squad here, Eric, in the Minnesota Timberwolves. By the way, it says just got a notification that he's going through pregame warmups. Let's see. What does it say? Going through pregame warmups at usual time Tuesday. All right. So maybe I feel like he's a little bit more I feel like he's maybe a little bit more likely to be on the side of playing than sitting. It's still weird to me. Like, why? Also, this is super
again. I'm telling you, Greg, it's so unpredictable because, like, I swear to God, he plays through these tags all the time, and again, it's different because he actually got dinged up this year, but he's gone to the locker room how many times and come back and playing over the course of the last 3 years? Like, how many times has he just flat out gotten downgraded for something and then he's like, nope, I'm playing, sorry guys? Like I feel like he has some actual say in that too, where like he's basically like deciding, yeah, you guys want to rest me today, I don't want to, I got one of my 4 girls in the crowd tonight, I need to play ball.
For what it's worth, I do think he plays now that he's going through his so like I now that we have this updated information, which we did not have 3 minutes ago, I tend to think he plays now. So
I think the takeaway is I was right and you were wrong. I think that's the takeaway.
Well, until we get the actual news.
That's true. And now would be pretty funny to have him sit, if I'm being honest. Like, it would actually be a pretty funny run out, but it's just it's so wild.
Yeah, I mean, I'm adjusting in real time the information we're getting. I think he's going to play now. We got different information over the course of the last couple of minutes, but anyway, I am now going to kind of change how I was planning on going about building my lineups, thinking that he's going to be in now at this point. Wemby, the Wemby one's also weird because we got word earlier, meaning a couple days ago, that Wemby was going to play today, and now he shows up as questionable in the injury report. We know the Spurs tend to be cautious with him. Another one, I'm not totally, I'll give my best guesses now. I think Anthony Edwards plays. I think Jalen Tyson sits. Wemby, I'm going to guess plays with a minutes restriction.
Correct. I talked about that a little bit last night on NBA Lindy's. I'd be shocked if we saw him start tonight. Like, I legitimately don't think he starts tonight. I think Luke Cornett starts. They just try to do the monitored minutes things that they did in the NBA Cup and have him for later in the game rather than wasting a 6-minute rotation when you don't have new information. It's kind of like when we talk about late swap, that's kind of what the Spurs have been doing, and it's kind of a genius thing. Play Wemby as much as you need to when it matters the most and you have the outcome of the game potentially in doubt. They are 6-point dogs here. Got this at 6.5 yesterday. Basically felt as though John Morant wasn't going to play. Also, it's kind of wild to think that it doesn't matter as much as it might have used to once upon a time. But I'm with you. I think Wemby, I'd be very, very surprised if he played more than like 26 minutes at under any circumstance tonight.
Yeah, and it's not even to say that he's incapable of it. It's more so just that they've been so cautious with him in these other scenarios this year. He's missed a couple games in a row with an injury that he also he had said he tried to get back into the game the day it happened, that he felt he was available to return. They're just being so cautious with him, understandably so. And also, the team's been good enough this year. It's not like this team is incapable of winning games without him. Obviously, he matters a shit ton in terms of their odds to win, but it's not a total loss if he's not out there.
Agreed. He's on a really good, this is a really revamped, good, young Spurs team. They have a lot of young pieces. Then they have De'Aaron Fox, who comes in and can add a little bit of stability. He hasn't tried to do too much. I've kind of been impressed with his fit, kind of like from a leadership perspective, along with kind of bringing guys along for the ride. Stephon Castle's just been really, really fun. I know it's not one of Josh's guys, definitely one of my guys. I love that guy. And Julian Champagnie doing exactly what they're asking of him too, kind of like their Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So it's been a fun team this year.
Yeah, so that's what we got as far as the injury situations go. No super chats here waiting for us quite yet. If you guys are in our Discord channel, have any questions for us, hit me up, and then I'll definitely be on the lookout for any of those questions. Here's what we got for our initial ownership on the DraftKings side of things. We'll look at FanDuel as well. But starting with DraftKings, we've got one player who is pulling over 40% ownership. It's Darius Garland, which totally makes sense. No Donovan Mitchell for today. So you got Garland 46.7% owned. Just under 40% owned is Evan Mobley and Cam Spencer. Cam Spencer benefiting from John Morant being out. Then you've got Paulo Banchero, 36% owned, Nesmith, 34% owned, Siakam, 34% owned. Then you got just over 30% ownership to TJ McConnell and Wendell Carter Jr. So, Eric, of all these guys who are pulling a ton of ownership, Darius Garland in particular, are there any of them you look at and be like, boy, that guy is way more popular than they should be?
No. I think I would say the inverse. I like Garland and Mobley a lot more than the field does. I kind of go and flip it the other direction. Cam Spencer also, I get a 6,100. Vince Williams is kind of an interesting wrinkle as far as the way that rotation is going to work out. I would love to know if there was a minutes limit on a Vince Williams, because he had been starting over Cam Spencer earlier this season. Cam Spencer's kind of emerged as the main guy there, who I do assume starts for what it's worth, but this is one of those weird, interesting situations with a Cam Spencer where things might get a little bit wonky amongst the popular pieces. And yeah, it might be a little bit overowned, but I don't look at anybody here at the top of the board and think that it's just horrible chalk. They're all mid-range guys. While we come from a stars and scrubs slate yesterday, this is kind of the inverse of that. The mid-range just looks really, really good. 6-7K range, neither any of those guys up top, they just look pretty damn good.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you on Darius Garland. While he is the most popular player on the slate, I'm a little surprised he isn't pulling more ownership. Not that this isn't a substantial amount going to him, but it's only a 5-game slate. To me, I mean, $7,200 without Donovan Mitchell, it's a pretty obvious spot to be getting to. And just pretty frequently, we will see guys in these spots on smaller slates. Although, admittedly, it does tend to be the cheaper guys than guys who are a little bit more expensive. But often we'll see these guys who are just the obvious value spots on a points per dollar sense project for 70 to 80% ownership on these slates.
Yeah, normally we would. And I'm a little confused. Do you know his PRA off the top of your head? Garland?
36.5. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
35.5 all day. It's been 35.5. It's just, that's a huge PRA number for a guy at 7,200. For what it's worth, just giving you context, you'll see 36.5, 38.5 for a lot of pretty much everybody upper eights, low nines, on a day in, day out basis. Especially if you go over to our stats page, which is directly over in the data hub now. Once upon a time was elsewhere, but if you just kind of look at the projected PRA for guys, Banchero is 41.5. He's 9,200 or whatever today. Ant 38.5. Garland is not that far off of them, and he is $7,200. So it is a very, very easy click, I feel like. And you don't want to have chalk everywhere. But again, that's what the Sims are kind of here to do for you, is sort out where we want to be going, what direction we want to be taking some of our chalk. So like, I like all of these guys, but I'm not going to play them all in the same lineup over and over and over again, like 5, 6 of them, because, that's just going to be a little bit of overkill. Like McConnell, Neesmith, they're guys I'm going to mix in, probably not a ton together, looking at some of my Garland Mobley lineups, but going to be hard pressed for me to play one lineup and not have both of them. And it'd be very hard pressed to play 20 and not have well over 50% of both.
Yeah, so I've got everything updated with our current information, and I have 80% of Darius Garland right now. So that's, with current projections, ownership, and running everything through the Sims the way that I do it. So well overweight to the field, 2 Garlands, and then Evan Mobley currently showing up as my second most rostered player. Here's something that I know we're going to be getting asked this question, Eric. Is it okay to play Darius Garland and Evan Mobley in the same lineup? And for me, that is an absolute yes. I know that they're both a little bit more on the expensive side, but $7,200 and $7,600 isn't a crazy price. You got them projected for 41 and 43 fantasy points. It's very reasonable to me to think these guys could both score over 40 fantasy points on the same game.
100% agree. I just absolutely love both of them. Very difficult to get away from playing both of them. And if I were making one lineup tonight, I'm playing 25 lineups tonight over on DK. So fewer than normal, partially because it's only 1 hour difference, and partially because I didn't know what to make of the Anthony Edwards Q tag. Talking through that, I think we're both more likely to think that he plays now that he went through pregame warmups. But just one lineup, if I were only playing one, I think I would probably end up playing both of them in it. And a majority of my top lineups have both of them in it, and I'll just get different elsewhere.
And let's see, do we have anything? Yeah, so there's a couple questions here in chat. One of them is from our guy Einstein. He wants to know, how do we feel about Zion tonight? So Zion's been priced up a little bit. He is now up to $8,300 on DraftKings, and the FanDuel price point on Zion is currently sitting at $8,600. So you got him at $8,300 and $8,600. He's come up a little bit in salary from where he's been lately. Part of it's because he's been playing very, very good basketball. Here's my biggest issue with Zion is now that his price tag has come up, I do question a little bit what his upside is relative to his salary, Eric, because as well as he's playing, the Pelicans remain cautious with his playing time. If you look at his minutes, it's just not crazy substantial. We've got over the last handful of games. Now, last game was a blowout, so I'm not going to read too much into it. He played 26 minutes, but didn't get his final rotation in because of how lopsided the game was. But in the previous games where he was playing really well, he played, and this is since moving into the starting lineup, he played 30 and a half minutes, 29 and a half minutes, and 29 minutes. We have not seen Zion play 32 plus minutes since November 26th against the Grizzlies. And overall this year, he's played 32 minutes in 4 games the entire season. So this is where I really start to question not how good Zion is or how good he's going to be on a points per minute basis, but is he going to score enough fantasy points to be in a winning lineup on the slate when he's probably only playing 28 to 31 minutes or so?
Yeah, 8,600 is different. I'm not playing FanDuel today. I didn't see that he was 8,600 over there. 8,300 is actually an interesting tag over on DK. I've been thinking about him as somebody because power forward's loaded today. You've got Pascal Siakam and Evan Mobley pulling a bunch of ownership, and rightfully so. Jared Allen confirmed in here as well. But Zion Williamson, there is no question whatsoever that he's got a ceiling in my mind. The problem is he has a ceiling when he usually is playing without Trey Murphy. That's when you saw that 58 burger that he put up. Trey Murphy being back in, that's just a lot of usage that is going to be funneling his direction as well. So Zion needs to put up a more well-rounded box score. And then you have Derek Queen, who's out there. He was also out for that the January 2nd basketball game where Zion went nuclear. So I think it's very clear to me that he is somebody that I would play at 5% on DraftKings, but I'm doing that more in the Evan Mobley fails and Paolo Banchero fails type route, maybe a little bit as well. Looking over at Pascal Siakam, who I brought up before too, but I'm not playing him to necessarily be way overweight because I think he's a great play. I love Zion, what he's been doing, but just keep into account when you look at the box scores, there is a lot of context that is added. You add Trey Murphy and Derek Queen back into the mix, it is not nearly the same kind of upside for Zion.
Yeah, I don't have him showing up in lineups right now. I've got him in 2 out of my top 150 lineups. Another thing that also plays a factor in this, outside of just the normal projection related things relative to his salary, Eric, is you look at his price point on DraftKings, he's priced just above Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. And I just prefer those guys at a cheaper price point. If they were all the same price point, I'd still prefer those guys to Zion.
Well, not only that, I mean, I prefer Pascal Siakam by a lot too. So like there's just very difficult. It's very difficult for me to land on Zion in like any kind of a core build, but I do think that there are some builds where I might try to mix in 1 or 2 shares in 25, just because there's a chance that we get, like, if they just hit their projections today, like if we just have those specifically Mobley and Siakam, if they go for 42 and change, 42, and you get Zion to put up 44, 45, like there's a way that you're bypassing a lot of the field. Problem is that they're also cheaper. So like there's a lot of push and pull on this slate. That's probably not going to be a spot I make a major stand, but if you want to mix them into 1 or 2 lineups, I have no problem with that in like a 20 max setting.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody was one lineup of like an all-star caliber player, whatever, that's not the end of the world, but definitely not a priority. If I know I was only playing one lineup today, there's no way that Zion would be in that one lineup. So let's go ahead and see what other questions we have here for us. This is from Ninja Black 47. He wants, well, there's no question here. It's just the statement, but we could talk about it. Wiggins revenge game, he says. Thoughts?
Oh my God, stop it. Stop it. Andrew Wiggins, revenge on the city that dealt with his bullshit for 10 plus years and allowed for him to blossom and make a bajillion dollars in the NBA. Yeah, I'm sure he has a bunch of revenge for that. And also, Cat's not there anymore. Like, there's another guy that I think he had more conflict with than anybody, and they both play on different teams now. What a silly narrative. What a silly thing when people are looking for like narrative street, because you can find it on any street if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I can't remember what the what the success rate of revenge games has been this year off the top of my head. It feels fairly low though. There was the one against Westbrook where we randomly got put in the starting lineup against
because the city was in Oklahoma City,
because he got so many fucking revenge games.
With Oklahoma City, it was against OKC. Yeah.
Okay, but he was also fairly cheap that game, so he made sense. Correct. But that might be the only one where somebody had like an outlier game that was notable that really stands out this season.
Yeah. So somebody's bringing up KD. I was just thinking about KD. KD ended up like 18% yesterday. He was not projected for 18%, and some people did play into that Suns narrative. Even that one makes more sense than what you're talking about with Wiggins. Wiggins been on Golden State now before Miami, and now he's going to Minnesota. Like KD, this happened at the beginning of this year, him getting shipped off to Houston. Like very, very different. If you're looking at something incentivized or trying to find a narrative, let's make it more recent than like 3 years ago. That seems like a good idea.
Also, for what it's worth, Kevin Durant just had his season averages last night.
Yeah, I was going to say, what did he even do other than like he had a cool press conference afterwards? I don't think he smashed from a DFS perspective. So, yeah, whatever.
He had 26 points last night. He averages 26 points. He did have 10 rebounds, so he pulled down a few extra rebounds because he averages 5. He had 4 assists. He averages 4.5 assists. He had no steals. He averages a steal per game. He had 1 block. He averages block. So outside of a few extra rebounds, he had just like a complete average game for him.
Yeah, and I get it. Şengün was out. So like when you have Alperen Şengün off the floor, there's more production for a Kevin Durant to potentially create, potentially get a couple more boards, but like not really the boards part of it, because Capella plus Adams is more of a trap. Like those are both better rebounders than you get from Steven Adams, but you got some minutes at the 5 without those guys for a quick second. So like that definitely helped. And Kevin Durant, like whatever. I totally get it. You want to look into narratives and have fun with it, go ahead. We can joke around about it, but like there's no way that I care about that today.
Well, let's see what kind of super chats we have, because I see there's some sitting here for us. Zachary Cooper wants to know top plays by position on FanDuel. Also, by the way, Jalen Tyson in today. So we are starting off here, Eric, 0 for 1. 0 for 1. There was 3 players that mattered that were on the injury report. keeping score here. Eric and I are 0 for 1 on them. And we ended up landing in the we ended up landing on the same spots in terms of what our guesses were.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. But go ahead.
All right. Well, now, and by the way, Edwards still questionable. Even though he's warming up, the team said still not available yet. They're still having him questionable for now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that he just went through a workout to like get a little something, like just to do something for today. You know, I usually, today I did a lot of NFL stuff this afternoon. So like more than I typically would, just to get the video out and to be able to, because all the props already dropped and I don't want to be late to the party there. But Minnesota doesn't play tomorrow. Has me thinking that maybe they just wanted him to get a couple of reps in, or he wanted to get a couple of reps in, and then they play a pretty big game at home against Cleveland on Thursday, prime time. So that'll be a Thursday 4 gamers. So like maybe just a workout, call it a day. Be ready for Cleveland.
We'll see. Zachary Cooper, top plays on FanDuel by position. So I've got these lineups in front of me right now, Eric. I'll start at the point guard position. I don't know how I go anywhere other than Darius Garland.
Darius Garland. And I did build out some FanDuel lineups while we were talking about it, so I'm ready to rock.
Shooting guard, that is going to be Cam Spencer for me, sans John Morant.
Yeah, Cam Spencer. We can throw a little bit of Desmond Bane. Oh, Gotham's Reckoning.
Small forward. By the way, we need more Batman movies of like Christopher Nolan Batman movies, or at least that. Yeah. I do like the detective Batman a lot from the the newer Batman series, but I just like Batman in general. I want to see him.
Did you see the pictures of Barry Keoghan? I think that's how you say his name, as the Joker. They were doing because they're shooting in London right now. I've got a buddy who's working on that right now, but they just released the video or the photo of Barry Keoghan as the Joker. Is the weirdest looking Joker I've ever seen. Like worse than the caricature version that we got from what's his face from 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh, from Jared Leto.
Jared Leto, thank you.
Yeah, that was not a good Batman. I'm sure if we go on Twitter, we could find people trying to put him in a bikini by asking Grok. So maybe I'll look up for pictures of it on Twitter, and I'm sure I'll just find weird comments. But Zachary Cooper, getting back to his question at small forward, I'm going to go with somebody a little bit more contrarian at the small forward position. Go with DeAndre Hunter at 11% ownership.
Love. You ruined Nuke of the Night. I was going to DeAndre Hunter Nuke of the Night, but
I didn't because I like the guy at small forward on FanDuel. It ruins.
Yeah, I didn't. Nobody said his name yet until you just said his name. Now he said his name, and I like to have my Nuke of the Nights not have their name said. How about Aaron Wiggins getting a start yesterday for people at 1%, and then he ends up 4%, does absolutely jack diddly shit. But whatever. I will go back to Desmond Bane. Oh, nobody cared. I was going to put on the mask.
So Eric now he has to shoehorn his. He's got to shoehorn skits and bits into all the players. All right, power forward. Let's see. So I already went with DeAndre Hunter at small forward. You go to FanDuel, almost all of the guys who are small forward are power forward also. So I'll go Evan Mobley here, who's somebody who's just power forward.
It's Alexander Saw, not Alexander Saw. Hermione Granger. Close.
You don't look like
Alexander Saw, not Alexander Saw.
Nah, it's not a good one. Not as good. Bane's better. Hermione less so. Plus, you don't look like Emma Watson. That's a problem for me. Center. All right, center. We got Mobley. Went with him at power forward. I guess I'll say Jared Allen. He should be more popular than 20% on FanDuel.
Today, Junior. Wendell Carter Jr. Found one.
All right. And that does it for Zach's super chat. We got we left the same super chat twice. Well, thank you, Zach. That's very kind of you. Hung Stud 420. I think you have arrived at the wrong piece of content. Hung Stud 420. Where does Tyus Jones rank amongst your top value plays? And Black or Bane if you had to choose one. All right, so let's start at the first. Tyus Jones. Where does he rank amongst value plays? Tyus Jones.
Who?
Tyus Jones.
Who?
Tyus Jones.
Let's go. We're back. Okay.
All right, now let me look at Tyus Jones. Am I getting him in?
Tyus Jones could just very well not be alive on this slate.
I have zero lineups with him.
Zero.
Like, I don't know. I don't know how to rank him because I don't know how many value plays I have in lineups ahead of him. I'll say outside of the top 10 at the very least.
Yeah, it's going to be no from me, dog. But Hung Stud 420, that is a great username. It would appear that usernames are popular conversation pieces in the chat at the moment, according to AI. So there's that.
Tyus Jones. Let me think. What is let's give him a pivot at least. All right. So let's see. What is the actual price point of Tyus Jones?
3,700 or 3,800, I think, over on DK or something. Or what is that FanDuel where I was looking at it? He is.
So Tyus Jones is $3,600. So for a point guard, easy. If I'm going to play a point guard at this price point, Craig Porter Jr. instead.
Without a doubt, Craig Porter Jr. Other candidate of Nuke of the Night, but I feel like nothing will ever top Craig Porter Jr. Nuke of the Night in Miami. So why even try?
Good point. Good point. Eric is slowly. I mean, we're going to get to the end of the season and be like, can't pick him, already picked him, can't pick him. Somebody already said his name, and then there'll just be nobody left on the board. And then he'll just have to start saying retired.
Carlo Matkovic.
Yeah. It'll just be retired players. We've gone through everybody. It'll be totally around. Just be like, Mehmet Okur is going to be tonight's Nuke of the night. You'll just pull out
Marcus Cousins.
You just have to keep going back in time. But yeah, Tyus Jones for today. He's not a great fantasy producer. We got him projected for 0.69 fantasy points per minute. Also, not somebody who's going to be playing a ton. So all that put together and the amount of value on the slate, Tyus Jones, not really somebody who I am looking to get to. And then Hung Stud also wants to know from us, Bane or Black. Bane over Black if it's a 1v1.
Oh, perhaps he's wondering why I'd shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane.
Did we have another? Oh no, it was there was another super chat. It was because Zachary Cooper had left us the same super chat twice. That was why I thought there was another one there for us. And we have these questions sitting. What is Slack or Discord doing right now? All right, so there are questions here for us in Discord. This one is from Einsteinium. He wants to know what our thoughts are on Rudy Gobert. Is he a center that we have interest in for today? I've got him in a couple of lineups, but in general, not really. He's just somebody who shows up in a couple lineups in the Sims, but no sort of real priority for me in Rudy Gobert tonight, Eric.
Dude, it's such a bad front court to try to rebound. I know it's a pace up spot, but like you get Khalil Ware and Bam Adebayo starting together, and it's just tough sledding to find rebounds, to find crazy upside. So yeah, I'm with you. Not that Khalil Ware some defensive stalwart, gets blocks, but not valued as such. Rudy Gobert, very, very limited for me.
Would it change for you if Anthony Edwards is out? Does that change your view of Gobert at all?
A little bit. It's not going to change his usage in like some pronounced amount. It would make me like Naz Reid a little bit more, perhaps. He's already 6,200. He's already somebody that I've thought about. One of the things that I think Josh kind of put this in my head reading through his analysis for the 50-point bonus over on FanDuel as well. I know that you've got somebody that you threw out there as well. I retweeted, but he was talking through Naz Reid, and I do think this is the kind of situation where Naz Reid could get more run because of what Miami's been doing this year. Spoelstra plays to his personality. He's one of the best coaches in the NBA, and they have been number one in pace from pillar to post so far. Just the beginning of the year till now, Miami has been number one in pace. And in those kind of game environments, Naz Reid just slides in a lot better than a Rudy Gobert, especially if a Rudy Gobert has a difficult spot and you're trying to get Khalil Ware away from the rim or Bam Adebayo away from the rim. I mean, Bam Adebayo, he was the USA's rim protector. That is what he does. And there's no question that Naz Reid fits into that game environment and that mold a little bit better.
We are 1 for 1 on injury news. So we missed on Hunter Tyson, but we hit the nail on the head with Wemby, Eric, because he is playing, but he's playing limited minutes off the bench. So there we go. Put one in the win column for us to get us even on the day. with Hunter Tyson being the loss. Now we got a win for us here in Wemby. I said he was going to play limited minutes. You went a step further and said he was going to come off the bench like we saw in the NBA Cup. Also, over on Tails, I posted some unders on Wemby earlier in the day, so we've got that going for us as well. If you guys aren't over on Tails, download the app. Follow me. Follow Eric. You got nothing to lose. It's free. So last piece of injury news we're waiting on is just going to be that Anthony Edwards one, who is still officially questionable for today. All right, we have some other questions for us here as well. The next one is coming to us from Young Metro Boomin. We already answered this. You want to know FanDuel best players at each position. We've got J-Rock wants to know who is the king of the court today, and then he asks Luka. So it depends, right? Because if you just want to know who the right answer is in terms of who's most likely, yes, it's Luka. Look at our stats. We got expected PRA projections. We've got Luka at 50.5, and the next top is Paulo Banchero at 41.7. Then you got Anthony Davis at just under 40. So if you just want who's most likely to win, it's Luka. But I do like to try to get a little bit contrarian depending on the slate. So I personally ended up going with Anthony Davis for tonight. Also, I posted that over to Tails. And one thing that really stands out to me about Anthony Davis is how many minutes he's been playing lately. If you remember a couple of games ago, we get the report, Anthony Davis is going to be limited to 30 to 34 minutes. I kind of laughed at it because I was like, well, that's the amount of minutes he plays every single day. And then he played 37 minutes that game. And then he plays 39 minutes the game after. So he came back from injury. And there's been rumors that he's going to get traded throughout the entire season. Now, all of a sudden, he's expected to sign a contract extension with the Mavericks, apparently. I don't know what the hell they're doing over there. But anyway, they've got this like weird timeline where obviously Flag, future superstar, young star rookie, and then you got him and Kyrie Irving and Anthony Edwards just on timelines that don't align. But whatever. It seems like Anthony Davis wants to stay there. But there we go. All right. 2-1 now on injury news. Anthony Edwards will play. So there we go. We got all.
You're 1-1-1. I'm giving you the draw on Anthony Edwards, sir. You come in hot saying, I don't think it's gonna play.
Oh, we got more news, and I changed my opinion based on updated news. You don't have to make one opinion and be stuck with it forever. It's different if you.
That is not what Twitter has taught me. That is not true. You are your opinion from day one, no changing whatsoever. You come into college, you get a conservative agenda when you're a young kid going to Sunday school, and then you know what? You go to a liberal arts school and you learn, hey, maybe I want to make out with the little home ec professor. And you're like, all right, we're going to party. And then what happens is you end up moving to California, you end up in Arizona, and you get conflicted. And sometimes you're Republican, sometimes you're a Democrat, sometimes you're here, sometimes you're there. But guess what? On Twitter, you are your first opinion from now until forever. May God rest your soul.
I'm pulling one thing out of it, and it's that Eric lost his virginity to a high school arts teacher.
No, not virginity, but college was weird.
Well, that's what I took out of it. Once it doesn't have to be the truth. It's just what I.
He was a nice man, okay? Sorry, that was a joke.
Paul agrees. He'd a rough beard. Paul agrees with me, by the way, or agrees with you, I should say. He said, Greg late swap with the warm-up news. That's a tie to him. So he's giving me a tie the same way that you did.
1-1-1, baby.
I'm the host here. I'm keeping the score. I'm counting it as 2-1 for us over here. I pivoted. I got new information, changed, and got before the news came out. So most importantly, though, we've got all the injury news for today. There's nothing else that's really all that significant that we're waiting on. We did just get the starting lineup for the Cavs: Garland, Merrill, Wade, Mobley, Allen. So it's good to have that confirmed there for us. And we've got, so getting back to J-Rock anyway, my answer is going to be Anthony Davis with the big minutes he's been playing as of late. Do you have a pick for who has the most PRA tonight, Eric?
Yeah, Stephon Castle, I thought was kind of an interesting one, just for going way off the board. Wemby, I was always kind of assuming was going to be somewhat limited, and Memphis getting up and down in an earlier round. Sugar, we're going down swinging. Be the number one with a bullet. Loaded gun complex, cocking and pull it. 32, 33 minutes. De'Aaron Fox, I suppose is kind of in that same realm, but I feel like he'll even be a little bit more popular, and I kind of just view them as the same dude. And yeah, give me Stephon Castle as somebody who could just put up a crazy bonkers box score against Memphis.
By the way, for some of the things in chat that people are saying, Hunter isn't starting, Craig Porter Jr. isn't starting. DeAndre Hunter hasn't started a game since December 14th,
Nom.
so it was not
It's
expected that he was going to start. Craig Porter Jr. may have never started a game his entire NBA career, so I wasn't expecting him to start either.
Yeah, I think he's definitely gotten a start in his NBA career. Don't poo-poo my guy Craig Porter Jr. But
I'm not poo-pooing him.
it's
I'm
been
saying I don't think
it's been since Nam. We lost a lot of good men out there.
Let's see. Oh, he started one game last year.
See,
Yeah. All right. Yeah, he did start
1, 2,
last
and
year.
1.
Yeah, I guess that could be the tiebreaker. So now I've been downgraded to 1, 1, and 1.
1, 1, and 1. Sorry, tough. Them's the breaks, Greg. Them's the breaks.
Miami Mike. Here is his lineup: Garland, Smart, Tristan DeSilva, Mobley, Jared Allen, Trey Murphy, Siakam, Wendell Carter Jr. I don't love it, to be honest. There are some pieces in that lineup, like, all right, let's see. What is my actual exposure here? Tristan DeSilva, all right, he's a fine value option.
A nice lady.
Marcus Smart, pretty fringy for today. Trey Murphy you've got guys, it's not necessarily that I hate them. It's just you have a lot of fringe guys in the same lineup together, right? Like Marcus Smart. It's not the end of the world if you play Marcus Smart. I just don't want a ton of him. Same with Tristan DeSilva. Same with Trey Murphy. Also, as far as Wendell Carter Jr. goes, good play. Pascal Siakam, good play. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, good plays. Garland, good plays. So it's not that it's terrible. It's just, I feel like you're leaving a little bit on the table. Like, I think that you could get, maybe instead of like a Tristan DeSilva, find a way to get TJ McConnell in the lineup and upgrade somebody else somewhere or something.
Agreed. Jay Huff is starting again, so he's back in our lives.
All right. So Jay Huff, who I had in some lineups prior to this, not a crazy amount, but we do have a little bit of a sample size on Jay Huff starting because, we've seen this over the course of the season. We were not currently, or I should say previously, projecting him to start. So we had Jay Huff in for under 20 minutes and just over 20 fantasy points because he's a per minute fantasy producer. But what can we expect from Jay Huff now as a starter, Eric?
Probably going to be somebody low 20s minutes. I mean, the nice thing is that he's gone from like being 5K. He's been mid 5K majority of this year down to 4,600 to 4,400. Now he's 4K today. Jay Huff is 4K with power forward eligibility. Like, power forward doesn't matter as much today because we have Mobley, we have Siakam on his own team. We've got, all these guys we've talked about at the power forward position. It is a stacked spot. So maybe center makes it even a little bit more sense. But like, the dude's 4K. And there was a Kalshi market I looked at earlier, like last week, where Jay Huff is a guy who gets a lot of blocks. They were talking about between him and Wemby, who was going to end up being the blocks leader in blocks per game. And Wemby's been out like forever. And yet I was trying to figure out if that market graded based on the 65 games or not. It doesn't. So it just is blanket, whatever it ends up being. And once he was not starting, I tried to bet Wemby, but then it got ripped off the board immediately once he was starting. So tried to do a smart Kalshi thing, Greg, and it didn't go well. Surprise, surprise.
It happens sometimes. It happens. Jay Huff, we have seen, it was just the last 2 games that Jay Huff came off the bench. Prior to that, he had started a bunch of games in a row. So in those starts, it is worth noting, he only played 10.5 minutes the last time he started. And the game before that, he played 18.5 minutes. Prior in his starts, when he first went into the starting lineup, we saw him playing low to mid 20s minutes. Then he got up to high 20s minutes to low 30s minutes. Then he started to struggle a little bit. If you look at the plus minus numbers this last couple of starts, they were getting obliterated with him off the bench. So they ended up limiting his minutes, brought him off the bench. Now he's back in the starting lineup. He did foul out in only 17 minutes in their last game against Orlando.
That's what I was going to bring up.
What's a reasonable expectation for minutes for Jay Huff tonight?
I don't know, but this fucking loser needs to learn how to shoot a basketball again. What happened to him? Like, he was a 40.5% three-point shooter last year with Memphis. He had a 80%. He was 80% at the 99th percentile. This year, 29.3% from 3, 12th percentile. Maybe part of that is just a very small sample size, like he didn't play very much last year. And then this year, now he gets more run and more minutes, and things have gone poorly. That is not the first time that that's ever happened in NBA history. Sorry. So text my bad. But anyway, A lot of weird stuff there with Jay Huff that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I will say this. If you think Jay Huff is going to be somewhat limited here, Micah Potter becomes a really interesting tournament play because he was already cheap, already somebody that I thought was on the radar. And I think Jay Huff, between the two of them, like if it just ends up being 24-24, Greg, like they're both somewhat in play, I think. It's just that one was assumed to be the starter that was cheaper, and we were all going to click on a little bit of him, nothing crazy, but man, Micah Potter is probably going to be unbelievably unowned now.
The problem I have with Potter, he's a really shitty fantasy producer who I also don't think is going to play enough, who's not going to play very much. It's a rough combination for me. We've got Micah Potter. He's actually come up a ton in our projections. We have him as a 0.76 fantasy points per minute guy. Yeah. He was earlier in the year, like around 0.6 fantasy points per minute. It's hard. Like I would need Micah Potter to play 30 plus minutes. That might, honestly, 30 minutes might not even be enough for me to want to play Potter.
Yep. Fair. That's fair. I'm just kind of running it now, but we'll take a look at it because yeah, I mean, there's also people who might have built out some lineups ahead of time because he was going to pull some ownership. I think shout out Josh again. Another thing that I saw over on Tails. If you guys aren't over on Tails, tails.bet/Lindy, you guys can follow me over there or just go to tails.bet. Go check out the free picks page. Lots of good stuff over there. Read something from Josh, I think, bringing up Micah Potter as somebody that he liked. Don't think he likes him anymore. Just going to put that out there.
So we've got updated projections now, and here's what we got for Jay Huff. You guys can see we got the confirmed starting tag here now on Jay Huff. So we put in Jay Huff for pretty modest 23 minutes. That puts him at 25 fantasy points. What really helps is he's got the power forward eligibility to go with center eligibility. If Jay Huff was only center, that would be a tougher click. Micah Potter, power forward center. We still haven't projected for more minutes than Jay Huff for what it's worth, but that has an 18 fantasy point projection. For a guy with power forward center eligibility, 18 fantasy points at $4,100. It's just going to be tough for him to show up in lineups coming out of the Sims. Jay Huff's going to look really good, though.
Yeah, he's going to look really, really good, and we're going to play him.
All right, so I'm about to start running my lineups to an update here, which means, Eric, I think it is a perfect time for us to hit the nuke of the night. All right, Eric, you had previously indicated that you were planning on going with DeAndre Hunter, which I ruined by mentioning him as a player I liked at a different portion of the show. Because God forbid anybody like anybody that you're considering liking 20 minutes later in a particular point of a show. So I don't know if you're going still with DeAndre Hunter, Eric, or you got somebody else in mind, but who you're going with for the nuke of the night?
All right. So there's some good chalk, I think, on today's slate. They obviously all exist in the Cleveland spot, but in the interest, I think one of the interesting things you can do to get different on today's slate is remove one of Mobley or Garland from your main lineup, and you insert this guy who gets to go up against Jay Huff now, gets to go up against Micah Potter in the backup role. He ends up not playing the game previous, and obviously we had a Q tag on him coming into today, and I'm just a little surprised nobody wants to play a 6,100 Jared Allen without one Donovan Mitchell out on the floor. There's more usage for everybody up for grabs. There also are rebounds up for grabs. We're also talking about a 1.25 DraftKings points per minute producer and a guy who's right now pulling just right around 14% ownership. Give me more, in the words of Britney Spears. Jared Allen, nuke of the night.
So there is an irony to this. Do you remember who I said my favorite center was when we were going over FanDuel?
Sure did not.
Jared Allen. So you get so aggrieved that I say DeAndre Hunter is my favorite small forward on FanDuel because now I can't use him as the nuke of the night. Everything's ruined. I have to go to somebody else. So instead, you just went with somebody else who I liked on FanDuel at a different position. You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite.
Shut up. Just give me your nuke.
You are an absolute
Give me your
hypocrite.
tears, Gregory. Give me your tears.
I am going to go with the aforementioned Jay Huff, who we do have projected for about 30% ownership now. My best guess, this news came out, late 19 minutes, 20 minutes before lock. I don't know that people are going to react to that starting lineup at the rate they should. So I think he's going to come in lower owned than what he's projected at, especially because that game locks right at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So it's one of the games right at the start of the slate. I think that we're going to see Jay Huff closer to 20% owned than over 30%. So I'm going with Jay Huff. We've already seen him be really successful in this role as a starter. He's been in, probably 4 or 5 winning GPP lineups this year. So Jay Huff, that is going to be my guy for today. Also, as well as we have him projected on a points per minute basis, we're not giving him very many minutes. There is further upside to his minutes. I think a lot of it's going to come down to what you said before, Eric. He's really struggled to shoot the ball this year, especially as of late. If some of those shots start to fall, do you remember that game where he was like 6 of 6 from 3, 4 minutes in? That was maybe like his second or third game that he drew a start. Yeah. If he starts making his shots, then I think he plays way more minutes than Micah Potter today, and we see like a 28-20 split or something.
Yeah, Harry Potter. Micah Potter sucks. There's no question Jay Huff is the preferred route. Looking also just at the fact that he's the way better fantasy performer. These are the good reasons that you have stochastic projections in your life, because that was something that as you run it, it just becomes very, very obvious and very apparent that we're going to play a lot of Jay Huff today.
Yeah, I've got that sim run finishing up for me right now. So here's the questions that we got from chat. One here is from Cream. Would we get to any of Jay Huff? Well, I think we just answered that. So that is a yes on getting to Jay Huff for today. Einsteinium wants to know, should we be boosting Bones Highland today? No.
No, definitely no.
Yeah, that is going to be a no for me. M Grizzly wants to know, in general, is there anybody that we're boosting for today? So I'll see what my exposures look like when this Sims run finishes. I'll circle back on this in a few minutes. Is there anybody right off the bat that you are going to be boosting, Eric?
Yeah, I'm probably going to boost a little Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox. When you get limited, one thing that we didn't change, I don't think we changed it. I'm going through the backlog here, but Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox. If you had Wemby for like 27, 28 minutes, guess what? If you put him for 24 minutes today and you know he's going to be limited and coming off the bench, the two main cogs, the guys who are going to pull the most PRA as is, they're going to benefit a little bit. I don't know which one of the two would end up popping. I like Castle a little bit more because 1, he's got more rounded box scores. 2, he's got shooting guard eligibility. And 3, he's $100 less. So like, I'm going to probably take a little bit more Stephon Castle into my life, but they're both 1.15 DraftKings points per minute guys, basically. So like, going to take shots on both of them.
All right. The next question, that was the one about Jay Huff, which we answered. The Light wants to know, what do you think about breaking up the exposure of Cam Spencer and picking up some Julian Champagnie? So do you like getting to Champagnie, or is there a different guy that you like as a pivot off of Cam Spencer?
No, I don't like any pivot off Cam Spencer, but Lindquist is by far the most chalk donkey player of these hosts. Are you high? Are you high? I probably get yelled at more than anything. I play like the 1%. I made Aaron Wiggins nuke of the night yesterday. What are we talking about? What are we actually?
Somebody else leave another question about? Making fun of him. His voice is going to keep getting higher and higher. I'll sound like Mickey Mouse.
What are we talking about? This is the most tilting show we've had in a while. What are we actually doing with our lives? Why would you come in? Craig Porter Jr. is like 5%. I gave nuke of the night Luka Garza at 5%. Like what are we actually having a conversation about? What's happening here? Yeah, I was gonna. Was that both of us doing a donkey at the same time?
Well, you got some backers here. Sotek says Lindy isn't a chalk donkey. What would you consider yourself? Here we go. Apoplectic Eric is the best Eric. Morgan Wiper says, "Calm down, Eric. That was an obvious troll."
Love fuck you, Morgan. No. After yesterday, you don't get to talk about trolling and being obvious with troll. You were That wasn't even. You were the most obvious troll of the obvious trolls of the 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 trolls. Don't you dare! Don't you dare! How dare you, sir?
Yeah, I don't think your voice got high enough for that one.
Okay, no,
Not, yeah, they're not going to take you seriously now.
Yeah, he's laying right now. He's like the bouncer at Saul Goodman, you know, the guy who's laying on the pile of money, and he's just like tweeting from his phone at me. Morgan is just laying in money.
Lavelle Crawford, the comedian, is Lavelle Crawford and Bill Burr. Bill Burr is the white guy, which I'm sure people are probably more familiar with Bill Burr. Lavelle Crawford, also a stand-up comedian, the giant fat guy in Breaking Bad.
Good. Also, Eric helped me win third place in the underdog with a 3% Ramondre. If you go back and look, E94, I had 65% Ramondre Stevenson in that slate on Sunday. He was like 6%. Like, what are we actually doing? Calling me a chalk donkey. You can call me a lot of things. You can call me a piece of shit. You can call
What if we
me
just call him a donkey? It doesn't have to be a chalk donkey. He's just a donkey donkey.
Call me a donkey. You call me a
donkey.
Or you call me a chalk donkey. And them's fighting words. Okay?
Yeah. He's just a donkey.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Zachary Cooper, how do Merrill and Neesmith look over on FanDuel? So I'd consider Neesmith is somebody who I really like getting to today. Sam Merrill is more of a fringe option. Neesmith's like an actual real play today, though.
I have a pop culture reference for you. Merrill. That was a good one, right?
It's a Pokemon.
Hey, there we go. Let's go, team.
Yeah, that's more up my alley. Yeah, once you get like video games and whatnot, I'll know everything. Let's see, what else do we have here? We've got the Nature Boy in chat. He wants to know. I asked his thoughts on Neesmith. Already hit on that. He also wants to know thoughts on Trey Johnson. I also like Trey Johnson today. Trey Johnson's got ownership in the teens, and I've got 30% of him.
Who?
Trey Johnson. It's not a. I don't know if you meant this as like a Mike Jones.
This is not. No, this was a real one. Trey Johnson, you have 30% of. There's no way I had 30% Trey Johnson. I don't think
he's pulling ownership. He's not like
he's pulling, not a ton, but okay. That's a healthy amount of Trey Johnson in your life. We'll see his points prop's going up 13.5, 14.5. Not sure what it's at now, but was definitely tracking that earlier. Just I quit tracking it because it's Trey Johnson and he does nothing but shoot. So there's that.
Yeah. So let me look at my lineups with Trey Johnson. So why do I get to this much of him? So good eligibility, point guard, shooting guard. The point guard position is pretty loaded. Here's the main reason why. Shooting guard sucks today on DraftKings. Look at your shooting guard exposures. Who are you getting to?
Pretty sure it's just like all Cam Spencer. Yeah, I have 78% Cam Spencer in my top 150. So there's that.
All right. So, by the way, I pulled up the boom bust tool, sorted the shooting guard position. We have Trey Johnson a higher optimal.
Right. I'm going to play Trey Johnson. I get it. I'm going to play Trey Johnson. I'm going to give him a little click. And as if we haven't had enough clickbait today, enough rage.
Look how shitty this position is.
It's an awful position. Contavious Caldwell Pope, the nuts for what it's worth.
Yeah, KCP is our shooting guard with the third highest optimal rate. Number 1 is Trey Johnson. 2 is Cam Spencer. 3 is KCP. 4 is Marcus Smart. That's why I have as much of him as I do. It's a terrible position.
Looks like ball sack. I would agree. Bad ball sack. Ugly ball sack. Not beautiful.
Oh, here's a nice note. Willie Jenkins. Eric, I believe in you. You're his favorite chalk donkey. But it's a nice message. He left a heart emoji too. And look, we've got Mitch Williams. Eric, you're my chalk donkey guy. Look, these are really nice messages. They really like you.
It's the wrong form of your bitch, but I appreciate you.
Look at that. Yeah, lots of support there. Discord, we've got M Grizzly wants to know how much Trey Johnson is too much. He says he has 60% of Trey Johnson. Now we got people asking these Trey Johnson questions.
Yeah,
60% is a lot more than I have, but once again, you just look at the shooting guard position. It's trash today. So like I get why he shows up in a ton of lineups.
I'm trash, apparently. So
Sniffs 1, 2, 3, 4. Does Mobley take away from Allen on DK points? Should we make a group and boost them down? I think that's reasonable. If you just do like a negative 5% ROI boost on Mobley and Allen, you get a little bit less of them together. There's definitely a negative correlation in the rebounds.
I just reran. I got so much Trey Johnson. This is going to get very freaky naughty.
Look at that. So before I changed my opinion on Anthony Edwards, and it's the end of the world. Eric, look at the 180 he's done on Trey Johnson. He's like, "Why are you playing Trey Johnson?" Now he's like, "I've got so much Trey Johnson."
Nah, I don't want to bring up politics again. That's never a good thing to do. It's a lose-lose proposition for everybody involved. Can we just all agree politics suck? Anyway, we're continuing on.
You're arguing against yourself on something you brought up. Cream, with Ja out and everyone on Cam Spencer, would he get to Vince Williams Jr.? I know he's just coming back, but he's not really owned. I think I could see the case for him being a contrarian option. I personally am not going there, though. Remember, we had that slate not all that long ago where Vince Williams were expecting to be massive chalk, which I'm pretty sure was a slate that Ja Morant was also out. Then ended up being that Vince Williams came off the bench, didn't start, didn't end up getting a whole ton of minutes. I don't think he's going to play a massive amount tonight.
I don't either.
DK801, thoughts on a low-owned LeBron for tournaments today? I like getting overweight to LeBron. I've got LeBron. He's about 10% owned. I have him in about 15% of lineups right now. I was going to say that he could be pivot off of Luka, but Luka's not pulling a ton of ownership either. But just in general, yeah, I think LeBron's a reasonable guy to be overweight to the field. It's a really good matchup.
Agreed.
Einstein wants to know, are we playing Anthony Edwards today? I've got 10% of him, nothing crazy, but yeah, I've got a little bit of him.
I literally have exactly 10% too. That's adorable. We're so cute.
Shooting guard sucks. Went over that before. I know that he's playing with the injury maintenance. I do worry if maybe they dial his minutes back a little bit.
I agree. But this is also Ant, and nothing is off the table with Ant.
Yeah. Yeah, he could do anything today. He could score 50 points. He could go to the locker room for a little bit and come back. He could
have another one of his baby mamas
and come back. Yeah, there's so many things that could happen with Anthony Edwards today.
Nothing will ever beat the slate last year where I had a friend that was just basically like, why is Anthony Edwards at the hospital? And I was like, he's supposed to play basketball in 30 minutes. Do you remember that? That was incredible.
Yeah, he had the baby.
That was insane when that happened.
And he threw the baby out or something. It was a big story. Morgan Wiper.
Oh, okay. Wow.
First real question. Oh, his first real question ever.
Oh, I'll take it.
Neesmith and Huff or Carter and KCP. That's going to be the first one for me. Neesmith and Huff because it has Huff.
Hang on, I got to go. That's my chalk donkey. It also sounded like a dolphin, but don't mind it. Neesmith Huff, definitely that. Man, this got to be entertaining for a 5-game slate. My God.
The thing that was hard about answering that question is both of those sides are chalk. So there was no real contrarian answer. Like even KCP is 20% owned. Wendell Carter Jr. is 31% owned. So there was no answer you could give where, in a 2v2 where all the answers are popular, there is no, there's no contrarian play there. So once again, Eric maintains being a chalk donkey. Just a minute left to go until we hit lock here. Eric, I want to ask you one more question. We're first going to tell people like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go and follow us over on Tails as well. If you haven't checked out Tails, you're missing out. Follow myself, follow Eric, follow Josh, follow Lofty, follow Ben, follow Matt, follow all of us over there. It's free to download the app, turn on notifications as well. And if you're really enjoying your experience, leave us a rating and a review. That is something that will go really far to that app being recommended to other people that are into DFS or into sports betting or just sports gaming in general. So that's something that supports our free content, helps us expand as well. And all you have to do is take like 2 minutes out of your time to either write a couple of sentences or just tap a 5-star rating. So do us that. It means a ton. But before we head out here, Eric, who on this slate do you not have very much exposure to that you are worried is going to sink you?
Oh, well, I mean, now that I went from having all the Cam Spencer to like very little of the Cam Spencer, it's probably Cam Spencer. Congratulations to Cam Spencer on his first ever triple-double this evening. Other guy that I have like zero of that is pulling ownership. You know who I'm very scared of that I have like very minimal ownership to? Where did he go? Yeah. why is LeBron? Yeah, LeBron is definitely the answer. LeBron, I have zero of. LeBron James, congratulations to LeBron on just nuking the Pelicans into the middle of the ocean. Although New Orleans, because of how it's situated below sea level, they'll probably do that themselves one day. It's called erosion.
Anybody on the Spurs having a ceiling game for me?
That'd be bad, except for Stephon Castle or De'Aaron Fox are my daddies. So I would like that.
All right, sounds weird. Do you have a lot of Castle and Fox? I don't.
I have shots individually on each of them. I have like 15% of Castle, 10% Fox.
I have 3 lineups with Fox. I have 3 lineups with Castle, 0 with Fox. So for me, I don't want anybody from the Spurs to go out and have a big game. Don't want Wemby to go and score 60 fantasy points.
What if it's in your winning lineup, Greg? You wouldn't take a Castle 60 burger?
No. I don't have them in lineups. No.
Good.
It would help you. It wouldn't help me, though. And that was how I was going about answering the question. Anyway, guys, that is the end of the show. Do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, have yourselves a great night. Tomorrow we'll be back with our normal programming. I'll be on the Wednesday morning NFL strategy show with Lofty. So see you guys then. Looking ahead to the NFL playoffs on our first run of NFL data. Have a good night, guys. Good luck with your lineups.
Chalk Dolphin.